Hey, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Q, and it's about that time we get down and do what it do. As we talked about, well, just a couple of days ago over here on the channel, we are a few days away from seeing the start of the VCT season, starting the VCT kickoff. We already did our VCT Americas pick'ems. Figured we might as well go ahead and kind of get some of these other regions knocked out as well. The next region that is starting up the same day as VCT's America is going to be VCT Pacific. So you know what? Let's go ahead and get right down into it. Y'all already know the dealio. We'll be going ahead and picking through the group stages today. And then I'll also kind of switch things up a little bit from the Americas bracket video that we did just the other day. I'm also going to give you guys my pick for who I think is going to make their way through the play-in from all the second place finishers, or said the second qualifiers there from each group here as well. That way it'll give us our full final four. All right, so let's go ahead and get down and get into this thing, man. Starting in group A, actually I think our first matchup in VCT Pacific is going to be an absolute banger. T1 versus Bleed. Of course, Bleed being our squad that came up through the Ascensions program in VCT Pacific. You've also got yourself T1. Team 1 had quite a few roster changes. They had, what, two big ones between Izu and Accurate as well, both coming in. They also saw a couple of their players leaving through the off season as well. I know there are some people who are high on T1. I think they'll give Bleed a run for their money. I don't think Bleed's going to be up to their full form just quite yet. Plus, let's be honest, as much as T1 struggled at times last year, they also ended up looking pretty good overall in the season, right? They ended up finishing third. I know Bleed's got this really strong roster that ended up going through Ascension. Plus, you picked up Ye. I think really the whole question ends up coming down to which Ye do we end up seeing this season. Is it the Ye of old, the Ye from Optic, El Diablo, player of the year 2 seasons ago? Or is it the Ye that couldn't even get a 1.0 KD in challengers in NA once they went to DSG? We're not even talking about it was MJ coming back wearing the 4-5, not quite the same as, Jordan wearing the 23 and inevitably ended up having to switch back. Ye looked like Jordan in Washington. Maybe even worse. I think this Bleed squad's gonna still take some time to get used to kind of the changes and things. I don't know if Ye's quite ready to play the initiator role versus kind of what we've seen him play in the past. Kind of being more of a duelist primary, other than obviously Chamber. I do think Chamber being back, does favor Bleed a little bit, but I do think I got to roll with T1. Let's not forget that T1 is the team that last year during VCT Pacific, they finished third, and it was a close third. They finished behind DRX and PaperX. They took DRX the distance in the lower bracket, going 5. And I do think that this T1 squad also made some improvements. So I think you got to take them over Bleed. I think the other matchup even in Group A is, for different reasons, going to be very interesting to pay attention to, right? I think ZETA Division, a team, again, that was more in the upper third last year. They finished 4th. ZETA Division, another team that maybe didn't quite reach the peak that some people were expecting. Versus Global Esports. The only team that had a losing record last year that had a positive round differential. And also, let's not forget that Global Esports did make some changes in the off season. You got Benkai, you got Russ. It's essentially a whole new roster for Global Esports. I think I actually got to take Global Esports over ZETA Division. And call me crazy, but I think they could even put up a good fight against T1. I don't think they win. I think T1 ends up being your qualified team through the top half of the bracket for Group A. But I think this could be a really good game in the winners bracket here as well. Again, as far as in the sense for Bleed versus ZETA Division, I just don't think that they are quite ready to take down a team like ZETA Division. You know, they kind of get the unfortunate draw of having to play, 3 and 4 from last year. Even though I do think Bleed is like a middle of the pack team in Pacific, a team that you could argue. I like Pacific, I mean, is filled with a bunch of question marks. You could say that they're in the middle somewhere as well, but I just don't think Bleed's quite there. I think Global Esports also wins the run back against ZETA Division. I think we see Global Esports show up and show out in Group A. So I think I gotta have to roll with them there. Definitely let me know what you guys think down below. I know some people are gonna think that I'm trolling or trying to go for the reaction pick with the Global Esports squad, but I really do think GE is one of those teams. I don't think they're like a top 2 where we're going to be seeing them in contention for Madrid, but I do think they're one of those teams that we could potentially see make a Masters later in the year, right? Make that second Masters. So I think they're going to be a team to look out for. As far as in Group B, DetonatioN FocusMe. They haven't won a game in like a year and a half or something like that. That's not an LCQ game. Even though DRX has had some changes, I think DRX clears DetonatioN FocusMe pretty easily. I actually think DRX is in a lot better position than a lot of people are giving them credit for. I think they're moving forward with some moves that needed to happen, maybe even a little bit later than they should have happened. And I think giving Foxy that like giving Foxy that like nod of, hey, you're like the next one up, and not having to be our 6th in rotation also should be good for Foxy as well. I think Talon Esports and Team Secret. I think Team Secret should be able to win that over Talon Esports. Remember, man, just other than DetonatioN FocusMe, they were the worst team in Pacific last year. Team Secret, a team that was kind of middle of the pack. I know that Team Secret did make some made a roster move with NDG. They're one of the teams that didn't make as many moves. I think that consistency helps them over to Talon Esports as well. I think DRX, even with the changes though, and when we talk about that consistency within the Rocket, I don't think for Team Secret it's going to be enough to take down DRX. I'm going to probably reiterate this point a few times early on in the season. I'm still very big on the DRX bandwagon. I know that they've made some changes, dropping some of their players. But I do think that still, when you look at the DRX roster, you still got Buzz, Mako, Stacks, and now Foxy's going to be your full-time starter. And then you picked up Flashback as well. I think this DRX squad is going to be just fine. Honestly, the DRX squad might still be number 1 in Pacific. Well, I guess it's technically they finished 2nd last year, but I do think they're a top team. DetonatioN FocusMe and Talon Esports, not going to be a very fun game to watch, in my opinion. I do think that's one that Talon Esports can at least win to be able to pick up the morale and stuff within the squad, but they're going to end up still having to play against Team Secret once again. I don't think that's a close enough of a series that I can see that going the opposite way the second time those two teams match up against one another. So I'm going to have to roll with Team Secret. So DRX and Team Secret out of Group B, which only relieves us with Group C, man. And kind of similarly to in Americas, like we talked about, just the other day, I think Group C could actually give us some surprises. I think the Gen.G versus RRQ, the Regum Qeon matchup is going to be a little bit better of a matchup than people think. I know there are some people who think that RRQ has made some good changes in the offseason. I would tend to agree. I also think Gen.G has made some decent changes as well. You got to remember, this is basically a completely different Gen.G roster than the one that we saw last year. Does that work in their advantage? That's the real question. I tend to think that Gen.G is going to win over Paper X, personally. I also think that there's a world where Gen.G could beat Paper X as well, with some of the changes that we've seen from Paper X. I just don't think that's going to be the case here. I think Paper X does end up walking away with the dub over Gen.G. Do I think that the results change when RRQ face off once again with Gen.G? That's the real question. Because here you essentially have the roster shift ups from Gen.G versus the consistency from RRQ. Because what, Estrella's their only starter that got changed or that got picked up recently, right? They still otherwise have their same core. And Jemkin, I think, is their sub. I think they're in a 6-man roster, right? Yeah, no, I think I'm actually still going to have to roll with Gen.G down here as well. I think that will be close. I think this is one that you could see going either way. I would say of the second place matchups, no, because I can see the ZETA Division Global Esports one going either way too. Actually, I'd say Group B is the only one that I feel most confident in my second place game, being the Team Secret Talon Esports. But that is going to give us T1, DRX, and PaperX as our 3 automatic advancers into the Final 4. So the playoffs bracket. The question then becomes in the little group stage between Gen.G, Team Secret, and Global Esports. Who do we think comes out on top? And I think I'm going to have to roll with Gen.G on that. Which means PaperX and Gen.G aren't going to play against one another. Which is kind of unfortunate for PaperX. I think PaperX is really going to want to hope that one of the other 2 teams ends up winning, whether it's Team Secret or, Global Esports or whoever's in the second place from groups A and B. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, man. So again, so that's T1, DRX, and PaperX in as your top 3. Got Gen.G making their way through the play-ins on the second place finishers as well. So that's going to be our final 4. Just like I did with I said earlier in the week with the NA predictions chat, whenever we do get the pick'ems for the next round, I think I only have like a day to complete the video. So we might end up completing NA and Pacific together potentially. On when they come out or when the bracket things comes together. We'll do the final 4 pick'ems for those. But I think I'm going to go ahead and lock in those picks as far as my pick'ems for the group stage for Pacific Kickoff. So again, T1, DRX, and PaperX are 3 through the round. And then go ahead and give me Gen.G as the last advancing of for the final 4 there. Go ahead and call that my money in the bank. No briefcase. Feel free to counter. Let me know what you guys think, what you guys have as far as different down in those comments below. Also, remember, we've already got our VCT America's kickoff pick'ems down below, as well as we did tier lists for VCT America's last week. That's also should be up in this little playlist I'm going to try and leave right up there for you guys. All right. So if you guys enjoyed the vibe, let me know, as far as what else kind of content you guys would like to see. We're going to be doing VCT EMEA probably over the weekend, because I think that those games start Monday, one of the 2. So we'll definitely make sure that we get those picks in before the bracket starts. And then we've also got pick'ems. If you're an RLCS fan, we also have pick'ems that I just did for that here earlier today. That went up. And of course, we got the podcast that we'll be recording the second episode later this week for this week. So that'll be episode 5 altogether. But I appreciate y'all coming through and rocking with your boy for yet another one, man. Again, let me know what you guys think down in those comments. Leave those likes. Those 2 things are the things that help me out the most as far as that YouTube algorithm. Help push the content in front of more people. We're chasing down that first 500 subscribers. Until we catch y'all back over here for the next one, man. Don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard, all right, y'all? It's your boy Q, signing out.